My parents laughed at my online business for years, until I made $1.3 million and left their golden girl speechless at her own graduation party. The first part of the story must have an incredibly captivating hook to grab the reader's attention. I stood at the edge of the perfectly manicured lawn, the scent of expensive catering and condescension hanging thick in the air, watching as a crowd gathered around the golden girl. My cousin, Samantha, was a vision in white, a living, breathing testament to 4 years of real education, her smile radiant and her every movement dripping with the kind of effortless grace that only comes from a lifetime of validation. This was her graduation party, a meticulously planned event meant to celebrate her success, and by extension, the family's. But as I watched her preen for the cameras, my stomach knotted with the familiar cocktail of emotions. The years of being the family's afterthought, the quiet joke, the one who was figuring things out. The ultimate insult, however, hadn't been the polite dismissal or the tight, patronizing smiles. It was the neon orange vest. Aunt Kara, Samantha's mother, had practically shoved it into my hands the moment I arrived, her voice a sickly sweet melody of feigned helplessness. "Aiden, darling, thank God you're here. We're having a little parking situation." No hello, no welcome. Just a vest, a walkie-talkie, and the unspoken expectation that I, the 32-year-old owner of a thriving e-commerce company, would spend the first 2 hours of my cousin's celebration directing traffic like a high school volunteer. I stood there, dusty and sweaty from my unpaid labor, an invisible man at a party where every other family member was a VIP. Then, Samantha's voice, amplified by a microphone, cut through the din. "I just wanted to thank everyone for coming," she began, her voice a polished, practiced speech. "It means so much to be surrounded by people who value hard work and real education, especially in a time where it's so easy to get distracted by online hobbies." Her eyes, sharp and predatory, locked on mine. The pause was a deliberate act of cruelty. The laughter that followed, from my own mother included, was a dagger twisting in an old wound. That's when something inside me, a quiet, simmering rage that had been building for years, finally boiled over. I didn't care about the banner, the new car, or the crowd fawning over her. What I cared about was the years of smirks and dismissals, the countless times my parents had skipped over my accomplishments to brag about her GPA. It was then, as I watched my family bask in the glow of a fabricated success, that I decided to speak up. I stood, my untouched drink still sweating on the table, and made my way toward the crowd, a silent promise forming on my lips. The party was just getting started, but the real show, the one they never saw coming, was about to begin. I moved through the crowd, a ghost in my own family's celebration, feeling the heat rise in my face. It wasn't just embarrassment, it was a fire, long banked, now roaring to life. People laughed, clinking glasses, completely oblivious to the silent war that had just been declared. The air was thick with the scent of roasted chicken and the sweet, cloying aroma of victory. Samantha's victory. My mother, seated at the main table, offered a weak, apologetic smile that felt more like a betrayal than an act of solidarity. I was invisible, a piece of the scenery, and they were the actors, basking in the spotlight they had so desperately craved. The genuine celebration had long since begun, complete with a sparkling banner proclaiming, "Congrats, Samantha," a red ribbon obscuring a brand new Kia Soul, and a steady stream of guests buzzing around the cake. Samantha, meanwhile, was a vision of self-satisfaction, her white dress catching the light with every move as she drifted from table to table, a politician on the campaign trail. The little jab she'd thrown my way was nothing new, but in that moment, it was everything. It was the culmination of years of quiet dismissals, of being the family's resident failure, of my mother's tight-lipped explanations that I was figuring things out. It was the culmination of 1,000 small moments where my existence was reduced to a footnote in Samantha's gilded life story. As the clapping for her speech subsided and the music from a Bluetooth speaker filled the air, I made my way toward the main table. Samantha was there, posing for photos with her friends, a radiant, triumphant queen. Her laugh was a little too loud, a little too perfect. "Hey, Samantha," I said, my voice cutting through the noise. She paused mid-laugh, her expression shifting from practiced charm to genuine surprise. She hadn't expected me to retaliate. "Yeah?" she questioned, her eyes narrowing. I raised my glass and smiled, a real smile this time, one that felt like a secret weapon. "Just wanted to say, congrats. It really must feel great knowing your degree got you here, and it's awesome that your family supports you so much." I took a large, deliberate sip, letting the words hang in the air. The silence was instant, a vacuum sucking the sound from the party. A fork clattered to the ground behind her. My uncle's jaw dropped. Samantha's perfect smile froze, a mask of disbelief. My mother blinked, a slow, dawning horror in her eyes. I didn't wait for their reactions. I didn't need to. I simply nodded, turned on my heel, and walked away, every step feeling lighter than the last. The whispering started behind me, a low hum of disbelief and shock, a pebble dropped into still water. As I walked down the gravel driveway, I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I could feel their stunned, piercing stares on my back like heat lamps. The moment of silent triumph was more satisfying than any applause. I got into my car and drove away. No one came after me. Not yet. But by the time I parked in front of my own 3-bedroom house, the one that I had bought outright the previous year, my phone was already buzzing. First, the texts from my mother. "That was uncalled for, Aiden. You embarrassed the entire family." Then from Aunt Kara. "Was that really necessary? Samantha worked hard for her degree." The hypocrisy was staggering. I didn't respond. I turned off my phone, dropped it on the kitchen counter, and let the silence of my home wash over me, a welcome calm after the storm. That night, I slept better than I had in years. The aftermath, however, was just beginning. It would unfold over the next month in a series of confrontations and revelations that would change my relationship with my family forever. The aftermath didn't come in a sudden storm, but in slow, insidious waves over the following month. The phone calls started, first from my mother, her voice a mix of shame and concern, then from my aunt and uncle. Their tone, once patronizing, was now strained and awkwardly casual. They spoke of financial situations and the unmanageable lease on Samantha's new car, revealing their true motivation behind their sudden attempts to reconcile. They didn't see me as family. They saw me as an emergency fund. I felt a cold, quiet anger rise within me, a final straw breaking a camel's back that had been loaded for years. I drafted a simple message, a clear, final declaration that the bank was closed. I sent it to my family and let the silence that followed settle. The mask was off. A few days later, Samantha asked to meet for coffee. I went, not out of forgiveness, but out of curiosity. She was different, humble, raw, and vulnerable. She confessed to being jealous of my success because I had found my path without handouts or a prestigious degree. With no job prospects and a car her parents couldn't afford, the golden girl was truly struggling. Then she pulled out her phone. She looked me in the eye and publicly apologized on her social media, admitting that real success does not come with a diploma. It was a moment of true clarity for both of us. At the next family gathering, a month later, I wasn't handed a vest or asked to help. Instead, Samantha walked up and said, "You're sitting with me." When someone asked what I did, she was the first to answer, "He manages a multi-million-dollar web brand. It's absolutely insane." The silence that followed wasn't mocking. It was impressed, respectful. The family dynamic had finally shifted. My mother now brags about me. Samantha and I have a genuine relationship, and my aunt and uncle stopped asking for handouts. I still have that spreadsheet, not out of bitterness, but as a reminder of where I came from and what I no longer owe. They say success is the best revenge. I believe clarity is better. After all that noise, the stillness is the loveliest sound.